It is Chiefs week, Broncos country, arguably the most important game of the 2025 season. So, if you're a Broncos loyal, do me a favor, get the FKCs going down in the chat. It helps show me where all the loyal ones are. And coming up in this episode of the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports, I'm going to tell you why this 2025 team has striking similarities to the 2015 Super Bowl winning Denver Broncos. A lot of people are calling this game coming up in Week 11 the most important one for the Denver Broncos all season. Now, I'm not here to debate with you if that's the case, but I will say this. All of the NFL eyes, the eyes of the NFL world, are now on the Denver Broncos, specifically against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, there are a lot of good things working in Denver's favor. First things first, we're currently number 2 in the NFL. And number 2 in the AFC, ahead of the Patriots and ahead of the Steelers. That's the good news. Winning football games will probably get you home field advantage at this point if the Colts decide to lose a couple of games here and a couple of games there. And we cannot overstate what home field advantage does for you in the playoffs. But the season starts today. Like right now, at the time of this recording, from here until the playoffs start, this is the rest of the season for the Denver Broncos. Like, everybody should be on high alert, players and fans alike. Why? Well, first of all, the hardest part of your schedule is coming up, but also, I've seen a lot of fans get down in the comment section and tell me this team has a lot of similarities to 2015. And I started thinking about it. Started doing my homework, and I was like, okay, let's go back in time. Let's rewind the clocks and go back to 2015 for a second. Super high-functioning, high-motor, hard-hitting defense led by Von Miller at the helm. And, of course, a sputtering offense led by 39-year-old Peyton Manning. And I want to be completely clear when I say this. No way am I ever going to compare Bo Nix to Peyton Manning's career. But will I compare the last year of Peyton Manning's years, or the last year of his career with the Broncos, with Bo Nix this year? Absolutely. I'm definitely going to break it down. Peyton played in 10 games, got benched in Week 9 or after Week 9 for Brock Osweiler. And let's take a look. Peyton played a total of 10 games, 2,200 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, 17 picks with a quarterback rating of 67.9. Bo, far better than that in his first 10 games of the 2025 season. So while everybody can sit there and talk about Bo Nix's woes, and trust me, I've been one of them. I'm guilty. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I haven't been critical of Bo. I will say this. It's not nearly as bad as the quarterback play that you had the year you won the Super Bowl. That's good news. We can all take a sigh of relief that it doesn't look nearly as inept from the quarterback position. But he is still very inconsistent. The offense has a problem. And I've been the one to say it's not just a Bo problem. If there was one thing that you could take away from Moose, he is fair with his blame, always. I will never, ever blame one player solely. It is a functioning, cohesive unit, an oiled machine that has a bunch of different broken parts right now that need to get fixed. Now, has Bo been a contributor to that? Of course he has. Highlighted by this very disturbing stat that I found today and this chart. The amount of yards that are left on the field by quarterbacks in the NFL. Bo has the most missed yards in the NFL, and it isn't close. Now, the highest miss rate is actually Michael Penix Jr. of the Atlanta Falcons. So Bo's issue not necessarily is incompletions from a volume standpoint, but from a down the field perspective, Bo is definitely missing it. He's missing the mark. I brought up a stat to you the other day that on throws above 30 yards between him and Troy Franklin alone, they are 2 of 24 since they were both drafted. That's 8%. That's brutal. So, what was my plan to fix the Denver Broncos offense? let's rewind the tape a couple of days. My first step was to sign a wide receiver, literally any wide receiver. I threw out the name Odell Beckham Jr. You guys didn't really like that. Either way, I think the Broncos have made it clear to the fans they want another pass catcher. You made calls about Jalen Waddle. You worked out Jalen Virgil. So there is a lot of other players in the NFL right now that you could end up signing if it's not any one of those free agents that I listed. But the Broncos have made it apparent they want to get another weapon in the building for Bo. Speaking of Bo, the next step, limit Bo's attempts to less than 30. I think right now with the up and downs that Bo is constantly showing us, with the roller coaster of play that we're seeing through quarters 1 and quarters 4, we clearly need to at least take the ball out of Bo's hands right now and put a more stronger emphasis on the running game. Allow J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey to carry the brunt of the offense. And then when Bo needs to be clutch, let Bo be clutch, because he's shown he can do that. But if you're allowing Bo to throw 45 times a game, you're doing yourself a disservice. In fact, I would say that about any young quarterback not named Drake May. So limit Bo's attempts to less than 30. And if you aren't going to listen to 1 or 2, then you got to feed Courtland Sutton. Because Courtland Sutton cannot be the wide receiver on this team that has 3 targets per game. He's got to have at least 8. 8 targets a game feels like it's right around the area that he should have. Maybe more. He is your number 1 wide receiver after all. You paid him $90+ million. Feed him. He's your best wide receiver for a reason. Target him more. The Broncos, one of the radio stations in Denver, 104.3 The Fan, was talking a little bit more about the Denver Broncos offense because, like I told you, it isn't just a Bo Nix problem. The wide receivers also play a big role in the reason the Broncos have struggled. 9.7% of Bo Nix's passes have been dropped by the receiving targets so far. Dropped. And that's per Pro Football Focus. These are analytical numbers. Those aren't even taking into account the numbers that should have been caught but aren't considered drops. 10% of Bo Nix's passes are dropped. That's hysterically bad. And it's also the 3rd highest in the NFL. This was heading into Sunday, so those numbers could have slightly changed. But we're talking about 24 hours. 24 hours ago, that was the 3rd highest among NFL wide receivers. Even more of a reason to put the game in the hands of J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, and hell, even Tyler Bidet. Here's another reason that you should put the ball in the hands of your running backs. The Chiefs are better against the pass than they are the run, and they're decent against the run. 12th in the NFL, 104.6 rushing yards per game, meaning they can be gotten after on the ground. If you take the approach of the ground and pound style of offense, you can keep Mahomes off the field. You can allow your defense to have the rest that it needs to go out and make those splash plays against Patrick Mahomes, whether it's inside the pocket or outside the pocket. Now, we're going to continue on with the plan to beat the Kansas City Chiefs here in just a moment. But before we do that, got to tell you about this amazing deal that I saw. It's been a long time since we've thrown some jerseys and some gear at you, but Bo Nix jerseys right now are $40 off. You got to take advantage of this deal right now because it is fleeting. So go to chatsports.com/Bo Nix jersey to get $40 off your current Bo Nix jersey. You can get it in any color, by the way. You can get it in orange. You can get it in throwback orange. You can get it in blue or white. All you got to do is use the link that I put in the comments and description of today's video for you, chatsports.com/Bo Nix jersey. So let's talk success rate now. Bo Nix has had a really bad success rate this year. If you were to look at what success rate is, it is defined as how many plays from the start of the snap to the end of the play were run from the route successfully from the quarterback's hands to the wide receiver's hands, essentially. Bo Nix's success rate is 41.6% this year. That's 30th among 32 eligible quarterbacks. The only ones that he's better than, Dylan Gabriel and Cam Ward, both rookies. Both on terrible teams. So it's not good. However, Does that mean that Bo Nix's numbers look so much drastically worse than the greatest quarterback on earth? Not quite. Mahomes is a little bit better, there's no doubt, but it's not that far off. The quarterback rating is definitely better. But let's be completely honest. Let's round Bo Nix's completion percentage up to 61%. Mahomes is completing 3.5% more. He's got, 200 more yards passing? Bo's got 1 more touchdown. Okay, Bo's got 3 more picks. This doesn't seem like that big of a difference. This is probably the difference between the 12th rated quarterback and the 16th rated quarterback in the NFL, just for numbers' sake. So if we're going to be that harsh on Bo Nix, we have to also be that harsh on other quarterbacks. I know there was a lot of people talking about Josh Allen and his loss to the Miami Dolphins yesterday. And don't worry, I was all over that. I was like, that is an embarrassing loss. You should be ashamed of yourself. All of that, though, to say this. Kansas City is a beatable team. Far more beatable and far less of a scary opponent than they have been in years past. But there still has to be a major game plan to stop the Kansas City Chiefs, because on any given Sunday, they play like the very best team, like the Super Bowl winning team. You saw that against the Lions this year. They have moments where they are studs. So what is the plan to beat the Kansas City Chiefs this coming week? Step 1, keep Mahomes out of rhythm. The best way to do that is to actually just keep him off the field. If you keep Mahomes off the field, he can never get into that flow, that rhythm where he, is throwing sidearm and rolling outside of the pocket, doing a lot of dancing inside the pocket. If you keep Mahomes out of rhythm, you can absolutely beat him. Step 2, press the wide receivers Take 2. Press the wide receivers off the line of scrimmage. This is important because you still don't have Pat Surtain. So in order to go up against the likes of Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, you're going to have to do a lot of pressing at the line. Body them. Make them know that in order to beat you over the top, they're going to have to get really physical. Step 3, probably the most important one out of all of them. 4-man front, rush 4, drop 7 in coverage. That was the plan the Philadelphia Eagles had last year in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes, and it worked like a charm. Mahomes had arguably one of his worst Super Bowls he's ever played in. 4-man front, I'd rush Benito, I'd rush Cooper, Franklin Myers, and Zach Allen. Those 4 get after the quarterback. And step 4, limit Bo to 25 to 28 attempts. There is definitely a world where Bo Nix goes 19 of 27 or 19 of 28 for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. That's the Bo that I want to see. It's not a stigma to lean into the very best part of your team, which is your defense. In fact, you should. That's how Super Bowls are won. Tom Brady did it forever. Forever. He leaned on Bill Belichick's ability to manipulate defenses and offenses with his own defenses. And Tom Brady was just check the ball down the field, methodically move the ball down the field. And when the 2-minute, the 2-minute offense had to come out, Brady was exceptional. And that's how he won all of those Super Bowls. So, before we get on out of here, I want to end on something positive. Keep the winning streak alive. The Broncos have won 7 games in a row. It's unbelievable to think about. So do me a favor, hit that thumbs up icon for me. That's going to do it for us on today's episode of the Broncos Breakdown. A mile high salute to you. Be cool.